Imagine this. For almost a decade, debt collectors won't stop calling you every day, every phone you own. Annoying, right? Now imagine realizing the man they're looking for is none other than your abusive boss, the guy who's been making your life a living hell at work. What would you do? I'll tell you exactly what I did, and how his empire of lies came crashing down because of a single phone number. If you've ever dreamed of seeing karma strike at just the right time, you're going to love this. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments if you've ever had a boss so terrible you wish the universe would just deal with them. Because today, justice isn't just poetic, it's personal. Let's dive in. Alright, let's rewind. It was 2004, cell phones were just becoming common where I lived. I had just finished high school, and my parents, proud of my academic achievements, bought me my first phone. It wasn't flashy, just a chunky second-hand Nokia, but to me it was independence. I made a promise to myself. One day I'd buy a brand new phone with my own money. Fast forward to my first year of college. I had a 2-hour commute every day, but I was still on a high from the awards I'd earned in school. At one of the ceremonies, a nationalized bank gave me a monetary award, finally enough to buy my own phone. I was ecstatic. I went for a Sony Ericsson K300i, sleek and modern, and even splurged on what was considered a premium SIM card. Little did I know that SIM card came with baggage. By day 3, the phone started buzzing nonstop. Unknown numbers. Strangers asking for a man named Pizza. At first I was polite. Sorry, wrong number. But the calls kept coming. Banks, loan agencies, sometimes even aggressive voices demanding repayment. Turned out, my premium number had been abandoned by its previous owner, who apparently had left behind a trail of debt. I considered ditching the number, but there was something about it. It was neat, memorable, and I was stubborn. I thought, no, I'll keep it. So I started blocking numbers. Back then, blocking was primitive. You had to redo it every time you got a new phone. I kept a running list of debt collectors like some twisted diary of harassment. Years passed. By 2009, I graduated and landed my first real job. The relief of escaping college-level brokenness was quickly replaced with something worse: corporate hell. And at the center of that hell was one man. We'll call him Bits. Bits wasn't just a bad boss. He was the kind of manager who seemed to wake up in the morning wondering, how can I make my team suffer today? He thrived on control and chaos. You'd open your inbox at 9 a.m., and there would already be 10 emails from him, all marked urgent. Deadlines would shift on a whim. He got some twisted joy out of moving the goalposts. He demanded late nights, weekends, canceled family plans. And if you succeeded, he took the credit. If you failed, or even if you didn't, but he decided. You got one of his infamous public tirades. He would dress you down in front of the entire team, eyes blazing, as if humiliation was his favorite management technique. Meetings were his weapon of choice. Lunch breaks, late evenings. You thought you could breathe for a second. Think again. His meetings were less about productivity and more about reminding everyone he was in charge. I wish I could say I shrugged it off, but the truth is, it got under my skin. My chest would tighten every time his emails popped up. I'd clench my fists under the desk during his rants. He made me and everyone around me miserable. And the worst part, he was from my hometown, my school, even just years before me. That little fact made it sting worse. It's like his toxicity reflected on me by association. In 2012, everything changed. Our company merged with a larger parent company. Suddenly, we had Outlook.org charts, better infrastructure. For the first time, I saw Bits' full name in writing, the same name that had haunted my phone for nearly a decade. My pulse quickened. Could it really be? The odds seemed slim, but my gut told me otherwise. The phone number pattern was from my area. The timing matched. But I needed proof. I reached out to an old mentor who still lived in my hometown. Someone who'd coached generations of students. When I asked about the name, he didn't hesitate. It was him. Bits and Bitsa, the debt dodger, whose phone number I had inherited, were one and the same. I sat there in disbelief, then in fury, then in something colder: resolve. For almost 10 years, I had carried the burden of his debts in the form of endless phone calls. And for 2 years, he had tormented me and countless others at work. It was like fate had handed me the puzzle pieces, And finally, they clicked into place. This was my chance. So I did something bold. I unblocked every number I had ever saved. It's every bank, every loan shark, every collection agency. Suddenly, instead of 5 or 6 calls a day, I was getting 15, 18. But this time I didn't brush them off. I answered, calm, polite, almost helpful. I'm sorry the numbers changed, I'd say. But here's his new number. You can update your records. And I'd give them Bits' current work number. Sometimes, if I was feeling particularly vindictive, I'd throw in his manager's number too, just in case he tries to dodge you again. It was like opening floodgates that had been straining for years. Turns out Bits had been living a double life. He wasn't just a tyrant at work, he was a financial conman. He had taken out loans in everyone's name, his parents, his wife, his uncles, his aunts. He was dodging debts upwards of $200,000. In my country, that's a small fortune. All those collectors? They'd been searching for him for almost a decade, with 20 active cases filed against him. But he was slippery, always hiding behind fake numbers, until now. Until I handed him to them on a silver platter. The fallout was brutal. I wasn't in the room when it happened, but word travels fast in offices like ours. His manager started getting calls from furious collectors, each one more aggressive than the last. Colleagues whispered about it in break rooms, smirking behind their coffee cups. The once feared tyrant was suddenly scrambling, cornered by ghosts. Of his past, within 2 months, he was gone. Officially, the story was vague. Performance issues, they said. But everyone knew. Bits had finally been crushed under the weight of his own lies. And me? For the first time in years, I felt free. There was no dramatic confrontation, no shouting match. Just a slow, inevitable collapse. The man who thrived on making others feel powerless was undone by the very thing he thought he'd escaped. Debts, his lies, his arrogance, it all came back, call by call, until there was no way out. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger beyond passing along a few phone numbers. Karma had been calling for years. I just made sure it had the right address. In the end, I realized something. Sometimes justice doesn't come when you want it. Sometimes it takes years, but when it does, it's worth every second of the wait. So what do you think? Was I the villain here, or just karma's messenger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And if you've ever tasted that sweet moment of poetic justice, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, the universe has a funny way of evening the score.